Thank you for listening to this LibrePlanet 2021 lightning talk on empowering users through dialogue mapping using IBIS. So why should you care? Basically, you can turn any plain text file into a decision support tool. You can use any free software system that can share text files for collaboration on complex issues. Basically, you're keeping things simple, avoiding unnecessary accidental complexity in essential communications when you're using a tool like IBIS. It's a free idea, and basically it's an example of how a free idea or standard can be more powerful than a specific implementation, even though we do need specific implementations. So what's dialogue mapping? It's an inclusive facilitation process where basically a person creates a diagram or map on a shared display during a meeting. It can capture and connect participants' comments as the meeting unfolds. What is IBIS? It's a notational system used by dialogue mapping, but it can be used just in general on your own. It's a simple grammar for outlining complex challenges. There are several books on dialogue mapping and IBIS that you can look at if you're interested, but to just get started with, you just need to know the basic idea. And the key aspect is that you have questions, which you can mark as a piece of text with a question mark at the end. You have answers or options, which go under questions, like these. And then you can have pros and cons, where you add pluses and minuses underneath something as things to consider. There's a simple grammar where basically answers go under questions, pro and con arguments go under answers, but questions can go under anything to ask for more information or clarification. The main benefit of IBIS is visualizing your discussion or your thinking process. But there's a lot of other possible benefits as well, including bringing in a diversity of perspectives. There are various success stories for dialogue mapping, including for looking at a complex issue of the California water supply. There are different ways of notating IBIS. One's graphical, like using the compendium software that's under the LGPL, or there's what can be called IT IBIS, this indented textual outline that's being used in this talk. Now, IBIS is so simple on purpose. It could be a lot more complicated, but the idea is that users are quickly empowered when the techniques are simple and approachable and leverage what they already know. So you can come to a meeting, not have any training, and be able to understand what a facilitator is putting on the screen. You can also avoid clutter, where things might also get in the way of creating a shared understanding. And in general, it's easier for a dialogue mapper to use a simpler system in a live meeting where a lot of other things are going on. There are difficult reasons why it may be difficult to get started. But in general, we expect professional musicians to have years of practice before they get up in front of an audience, at Carnegie Hall or someplace like that. So it's not unreasonable to expect people to do a little bit of practice with a new technique for being able to gain a lot of benefit for facilitating a meeting. Now, in general, there are, of course, reasons things are difficult to put in practice. It's new, to use IBIS, but it's also old. It was invented in the 1960s, so man, that can't possibly work, right? If you're using dialogue mapping, someone needs to be trained in this to some extent. There are also general issues why participatory and democratic aspects are sometimes seen as a threat. One example was power company executives preferred $1 million fines over documenting their decisions. So, there are social reasons that sometimes putting in new techniques are difficult. In general, there are some major categories of IBIS questions about how it can be done, how can we do it, how can we decide, who are stakeholders, and so on. There are 3 moves of discourse in dialogue mapping. The most interesting one is where people question the whole frame of stuff and say, we shouldn't be talking about IBIS or dialogue mapping. And so then you add another question to the left side and move everything over to the right, indenting it 1 level. One interesting thing about dialogue mapping is that often people can be afraid to be critical in meetings, whereas with IBIS you can simply point to an idea and ask, are there any cons? Are there any cons to using IBIS in practice? Right? And you can just list them. And nobody has to be offended. You're just trying to, fill something out. Anyway, thanks for listening. My name is Paul Fernhout, and you can find this file on my website. And it's just another example of the power of plain text that you can work in an editor and then put it on the web for everybody. Thank you.